with Kathy Biehl.
Hey, everyone.
How's it going, Kathy? We're both on the East Coast, as per usual. Today is the 20th. I just noticed somehow it slipped by me that we're in the sign of Pisces now.
Yes, we're in Pisces time.
And we're in a full moon week, which is Saturday. That's the same night that I have my psychic party for my members. Wink, wink, hint, hint. When you become a member at the top 2 levels, you get to attend a psychic party, and this month it's going to be on the full moon in the sign of
Virgo.
Virgo. That seems calmer. Now you have a different background. Did you just change rooms?
I am in my normal room.
Okay.
This is where my normal command station is. I'm not where we did our lives.
Okay. Well, maybe the energy seems really different in that room that you're in now.
Also, I am hardwired into the router.
Okay.
I'm not doing this on my phone. This is hardwired into the internet.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just from a psychic perspective, that room has much different energy than the other
very
room.
different. Yeah.
Yeah. As you can see, I have my Smurf that one of my viewers sent me.
Hello.
I was kind of noticing that he does kind of look like Jared Moskowitz. Okay. So we are going to talk about a few different things. First of all, I do want to ask you about what the hell was going what was going on last week? Because I felt like we were just getting just hammered with bad news. And it just was like one worse than the other, and it was like out of nowhere, it felt like. And I know that we talked about 5 or 6 planets being in Aquarius. Can we talk about that Aquarius stuff?
Yeah, it was paradigm changing news. All right. Lots of revelations.
Yeah, shifts.
Things really startling. So what's been going on this month, February, is that all of the inner planets that are really intricately connected with our experience of life down here, as opposed to generational stuff or big trends, the planet having to do with information, communication, and technology, the planet having to do with anger and men and warfare, and then the planet having to do with women and what we value, all of them met with Pluto. And set a new paradigm for what the next 20 years are going to be like.
And I remember you talking about that. And so we're talking about Venus.
First Mars, it was Mercury, then Mars, then Venus. Yeah.
Yeah. So does that happen often, where they're all those close planets are in the same sign?
Well, they do tend to travel. Well, Mercury always travels pretty close to where the sun is. Mercury is always either in the sign that the sun is in, or in the sign immediately behind it, or immediately ahead of it. Venus and Mars have longer, broader transits. So it's like a series of wheels that just all ended up in the same place at once. And they don't normally.
Normally meaning maybe once a year or once every 10 years or once.
Not even, I can't even give you what the frequency of this coinciding is. I will tell you, we've never, ever in our lifetimes experienced Mercury and Mars and Venus conjunct Pluto at the same time and in the sign of Aquarius. So I can tell you that next week will be calmer.
Well, this week already feels calmer, but after last week, I kind of traumatized. It's like, oh, what's coming? What's coming next?
Well, it's been pulling a lot of things out. There's a huge revelatory streak in all of this. So stuff that's been going on coming to the surface. I would say that the huge judgment in the New York State proceedings against the Trump organization and its people completely expresses Venus conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. Money, huge amounts of money, and award, revelation about the crimes that have been committed, fraud, whatever. So that's one way that was played out. And I'll just heads up for next week. Next week, we have influences that will help us wrap our brains around what's been going on and find places of calm and figure out truths about ourselves as a
So
result of everything we've been through. I mean, there's something
right.
here about what do you value, what's really most important to you. Okay.
All right. I always feel like when we start talking, I'm like, I have all these questions.
Yeah.
So rewind. What day last week were they all in the same sign together?
Oh,
When,
they are all in the same sign now. Venus and Mars are
you know what I mean? Like what day were they, did they all like show up at the Aquarius
no,
party?
they've all been in the same sign for a while, but the day that Venus and Mars will be conjunct on the 22nd this week, but they've been really close. Okay, Mercury's a little further ahead, but Venus and Mars have been close, and they're still kind of hanging out sort of close to Pluto. So we're still feeling it. We're still feeling it.
Yeah, we're
So
definitely
this
feeling it. That's why I
so
feel
the full moon coming up has a real strong vibe of shoring up your own boundaries, figuring out what's in your magic circle and what's in somebody else's, and saying go away to the stuff that's not in your magic circle. Like, I picked you up, I don't need you, go. So there's
what's
a
a
kind of a,
magic what's a
you know,
magic
your
circle?
little circle around you, your little circle around you. This is my circle. I
Oh,
am
I'm
in
in
my
my circle.
circle. Yeah,
I'm gonna
your own
start
little
calling my
circle.
office that. I'm in my magic circle. I'm going to my magic circle.
Right. So you just kind of have it around you all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, Saturn is part of the full moon this weekend. And Saturn is the planet of adulting. It's the put your big kids pants on influence. And it it's kind of a party pooper, but it's also really grounding. And I swear to God, we are going to welcome its influence after this
Grounding would
lately.
be good. Yeah, grounding would be good because
Yeah.
Aquarius air. So these planets were all in Aquarius. Pluto's in Aquarius. Things got kind of activated. I'm going to ask you about a couple like words because I consider myself a rookie. So you say conjunct.
That means
Can
in
you
the
explain?
together like this. Same place.
Okay. So
Union,
it's like,
meeting. Yeah.
so it's like they meet up in conjunctions. Can you kind of just give us a general, like when planets are conjunct,
It
like
melds the energies of the planets that are conjunct. For
okay,
example, next week, the Sun, Mercury, and Saturn are going to be conjunct on the same day. So there'll be like this cluster all at once, like our
okay,
thinking, our sense of ourselves, our own inner party pooper, whatever. It doesn't have to be that. It can be, I am in charge of myself and getting your thinking. So in my very first astrology class, my teacher had a great way of teaching conjunction. She had two students stand up and link arms, and then she made one of them move, and when that person moved, the other one moved with it. So when planets are conjunct, if something happens to one of them, the other one's involved. They kind of like meld as a unit.
mm-hmm.
And what's been important in the last couple of weeks about Mercury meeting Pluto and then Mars meeting Pluto and then Venus meeting Pluto is that it's been setting up like the groundwork for what Pluto's time in Aquarius is going to be. So it's been like imprinting a new concept of communication, a new or a refined concept of how we're going to use our how we're going to use our energy, a renewed interest in how war is going to proceed. What do we find out? We find out, oh, maybe Russia has some stuff that could knock defense systems down out of the sky. That fits with
Yeah,
this.
that's probably
And then Venus melding with Pluto has I'm sorry, I just happened to notice, Darren, you are very active. Darren
oh,
has
she's
a
asking
lot.
all kinds of, the
Darren
full
has
moon
a
is going to
lot
be
to
in
say.
the full
Yeah.
moon's going to be in Virgo, Darren.
Anyway, so then Venus merging with that is setting up things about how we're going to interact with each other in a new experience of technology and I like, well, I like to think of it as when something gets really close to Pluto, it's as if it gets distilled, intensified, refined, stripped down. Um, I always think of when Dorothy and her companions arrived at the Emerald City and they all prepared to meet the wizard. I think
Right.
especially of the Tin Man with that thing going over him and buffing him.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of what happens when something meets up with Pluto. It gets refined, it gets distilled, it gets intensified.
But it's not necessarily the greatest experience.
Um, Pluto
Pluto.
Pluto is,
The cosmic Drano, I always call it.
that can be that way. But
Yeah.
and I laugh when uh, astronomers make a big deal about, oh, Pluto's not a planet. I go, call it whatever you want. When Pluto crosses over a point in your chart, you will know it.
Didn't they kick it out as a planet?
It's a dwarf planet.
Is that like a smurf?
So it's been demoted. It's been demoted from a planet
Okay.
down to
Okay,
a
so
dwarf planet. Okay, fine. Call it whatever you want.
it's helpful to me that I remember you using that analogy before about the conjunctions. Okay, that makes sense. So if Mars and Venus were conjunct a sign, right?
They're going to
Tell me the scenario if that was
So Venus and Mars are going to be conjunct on the 22nd. And the first thing to keep in mind is each of them has just been intensified, basically purified by meeting with Pluto. So Venus and Mars conjunct this week is going to be different than what we normally or previously have experienced because they've both been transformed. A Venus Mars conjunction, let's look at it. It's the goddess of love and the god of war.
right.
It's the two cosmic lovers, and they're coming together. You could, within yourself, have a sense of your receptive and your active sides fusing together, like your inner masculine and your inner female being on the same page. It could be a wonderful time for people getting along, and it's in the sign of friendship. So people are saying, oh, it's going to be so steamy. Well, maybe it will. I don't know. But we could be working on committing to doing stuff with our friend groups. Entirely possible. I mean, who knows? Maybe this is the huge week for polyamory. I don't know. But it's play Paul McCartney's Wings song, Venus and Mars Are All Right. Right. They're working together. Masculine and feminine, not working at odds. They're working together right now. And possibly involving a community or a collective or something that is really progressive, future oriented,
So Aquarius,
humanitarian. I don't know. We'll see.
so the Aquarius is a sign of like friendship.
It rules the Aquarius in the natural zodiac rules the house that has to do with groups of friends. And Aquarians tend to be, and I know this is the stereotype, but I can say it because I am an Aquarian.
Right. I'm wondering how this has all affected you.
Oh boy. Aquarians can treat friendship as a religion, and they have like circles of friends, groups of friends, but there's a very small inner sanctum, very small.
Well, that's interesting because Aquarians like there's a negative sign aspect to every sign, but Aquarians are kind of seen as aloof. So that's why I'm thinking it's a planet with the sign of kind of friendships.
Well, and some people say, not entirely politely,
Yeah.
Aquarians
Right.
love humanity and hate people.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that actually makes sense. That makes sense to me. I can see that somebody could be that way. A lot of people, a lot of entertainers, I could see might be that way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Aquarians prefer to be kind of in the corner watching things rather than in the middle of stuff for the most part. So anyway, I am very curious to hear what happens with in people's lives this Thursday. when Venus and Mars are conjunct.
Should we have them write to us?
People write to me and tell me all kinds of stuff anyway. So, if you want to, fine. Just leave the salacious details out, please. Those I don't need to know.
Do share. Okay, so this full moon coming up. What did you say about Saturn over the weekend?
Saturn is going to be with the sun opposite the moon in the full moon. So Saturn's at the full moon party, basically.
This is like, that feels big to me.
Well, it's calming, it's grounding, it's sobering. And full moons are moments of culmination. They can be just crazy, out of control, dramas flying out all over creation. Interesting when it's in an intellectual or a mental or analytical sign like Virgo. And with Saturn in the middle of it, there could be kind of a subdued experience of all this stuff. Now, you might get a really strong sense of what is weighing you down and what you want out of your life, because there can be moments of release and moving on after a full moon. It's also possible, since Virgo looks at all of life as an ongoing self-improvement project, that people could have emotional reactions to an overabundance of criticism, or their inner critic or some outer critic really coming at them. Not impossible with this as well. I think for the most part, it's going to be calm.
Would you say the best use of all this Aquarian energy is what? Is it to break it up and release? Like, it kind of feels like you won't be able to avoid what you have to look at and release it.
Well, full moons are always really good times for releasing.
For that, yeah.
Yeah, really good times for releasing.
Before the moon kind of wanes. So how, if you're an Aquarius, how is this affecting?
A lot of Aquarians I know are feeling like reality is catching up to us, and
That's what I meant.
yeah, and that because we've been living our own little weird ways for a long time, and I know a bunch of people who are actually having really wonderful situations open up in their lives, like stuff that's better than they dreamed could be. Others have just hit a point of, I've been right all these years. Shut up. Stop griping at me. I don't know. It's just really kind of interesting to watch the panoply is the word that came to me, the spectrum of reactions to all this. Now, what's been going on has been very intensely setting off my chart. And the one big thing that I can see from it is that I'm changing my car. Okay.
Your vehicle?
I'm changing my vehicle, which seems kind of symbolic. And that got taken care of last week. We'll see what it is beyond that. I mean, it's directly, I have planets at 0 degrees fixed. Pluto's at 0 degrees of a fixed sign. So there's a really inescapable and hard and challenging conversation going on in my chart, and we'll see where it leads.
Oh, interesting. Somebody mentioned their moon is an Aquarius. Isn't it true that if your sun and your ascendant or your moon are in a sign, that it's similar to if it's your sun sign, like the ascendant and the moon? It might affect you in a similar way.
Somewhat. What I'll say about the moon is this is your emotional driver. It's how you express and experience love. And people with moon in Aquarius, I have noticed, frequently treat all of the world as their community. These are the people that get to know the names of the people in the dry cleaners,
Right.
go to the same restaurant, and the staff knows them, and they have a special place they sit. Everyone's their pal. Kind of.
It seems good for a politician to have moon in Aquarius. We'll have to look at that.
You would think.
All right. Also, okay, so we're going through some massive tumult in the House of Representatives here in America, and I know I had asked you to look at Alexei Navalny's chart
Yep.
to see. We're just kind of jumping across the pond here, and that was really what I'm noticing is on the world politics front that we are seeing a magnification, a big emphasis on who Russia really is right now. I was thinking about it. The woman that taught me how to use a pendulum, her name was Marion, and she had to flee from Russia because the KGB was onto her just around the time that Putin came into power.
I think we know the same person.
Miriam?
Did she live in Cape Ann?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, we know the same person.
Two people that we know in common. This is just really weird.
I knew her when she lived in New Jersey, and I visited her when she was up in Magnolia. Mm-hmm.
And I met her through. Do you know Pam? Because Pam and Miriam moved to Cape Ann, where I live, at the same time. And she introduced me to Miriam Davinsky, which is
That's the same one.
tough cookie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she was definitely Russian. But anyway, that's just crazy. Does anyone else think that's crazy?
Oh, I have crazier stories from lately. Really crazier stories.
Because Kathy Biehl, unbeknownst to me, knew personally Catherine Glass, who I did a show with a couple months ago, and or in January, right? And now Miriam, and there's somebody else we have in common too.
I don't need 6 degrees of separation.
That must be in your chart.
I don't need it. I am a human connector. Anyway.
So but just speaking of Miriam, it's starting to get very real to me. What that, not that I've experienced it, but like, if you do this kind of work and you live in Russia, you can't do it. You can't do this there. Right? Your life will literally be in danger. So this is really magnified right now. What's going on? Did you peek at Russia's chart?
I looked at lots of different charts.
And Navalny and Putin?
What I can say about Navalny is that his life, astrologically, his life has been hell and targeted for hell since last fall. I mean, we know, you can say, yeah, longer than that. But I mean, astrologically, it began getting truly, truly impossible. And there's
do you see his destiny in his chart? Is his destiny in the chart? Like, you could see that he would be an activist. You could see where that is in the chart. And his natal.
He definitely was there to improve things.
Right.
And very strong leadership of his own people. And I will say that I looked at a bunch of different things, the progressions and a variety of techniques that I don't want to get into explaining, but his message continues. It continues. And and there's big stuff at the end of the year. We're not done hearing about things involving him and with him. And as for, there was a window of when something could have suddenly happened to him,
right?
And it could have been at any point this year. But I will tell you, life has been more than the usual hell since the end of last year. He was born to be a thorn in Putin's side. His Uranus is exactly on Putin's ascendant. And that's like, I've got other ways of doing things. Disrupt.
What's Putin's ascendant?
Scorpio.
Oh, of course. And he's a Libra, right?
Yeah, a Libra with a whole bunch of stuff in the 12th house.
Oh, that makes
hidden stuff. So it's like a scorpionic Libra.
Wow.
But one thing that's really important here is that oh, there it is. Pluto. Ding, dun, 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 dun. There was a weird healing element to what happened to Navalny. I mean, for him personally, and it created a lasting, tangible legacy that has locked in and is not going away. And the eclipse, the solar eclipse in April, is going to set off, and this may have information about him, I don't know what, but it's going to hit the reset button on Putin's Saturn, which is how he controls things. And I'll just throw in here that Putin's Saturn is exactly on Trump's Jupiter, both in Libra, in Trump's second house of money and business deals. So there's a direct link there. And the eclipse in April is going to blow that open.
You mean it will be like visible to everyone? Because I feel like that's happening right now.
Well, we're in the buildup to an eclipse, but I've said a lot that the March eclipse, the lunar eclipse, and the April solar eclipse both really blow things up for Trump, having to do with money. But I can tie him specifically to Putin. I don't know why this didn't lock in my brain before. I decided to throw him in this as well. Putin's Saturn.
They're two peas in a pod.
Yeah, well, Saturn. Okay, when there's a strong Saturn contact in between charts, that's glue. Like once it locks in, good luck getting out of it. It is there. So I would say this is a very strong indicator of a very strong money connection between the two of them. Gee,
and it's been there a long time, right?
Yeah.
It's a very long time. I really feel like it's been there all along.
Right. I agree with that. But let me throw what is so putting Navalny back into it. Putin's all behind the scenes power. Navalny was out in the open, public, very, very public. And doing something that his efforts actually further Russia's core healing as a country.
Yeah.
And his moon is the same as the Russian Federation's moon. They're very close together in, guess, Virgo.
What's in Virgo?
Navalny's moon and the Russian Federation moon.
The Russian Federation you have that chart?
Yeah, for when the Russian Federation was formed. Yes. That's what I use. That's what I use.
Right,
yeah.
I see.
Because Russia as a concept has been around, long time. But the Federation, which is when the USSR blew apart, reconfigured, smaller group, this is it. And it doesn't have the yummy homeland, we are all one with the land feel that you think it might, because with the moon in Virgo, it's very calculating, cold.
Right. Can you see in somebody's chart if their life was to be a martyr?
Well, you can see if that is part of it. I don't see that. What I see for him is he is homeland inspiration. His role is to be inspiring, politically inspiring, and the martyr to be part of it. His Neptune, which is his connection to something much, much higher, is very close to the Russian Federation's Mercury, which is what they think about things and the stories they tell about. So he is locked into history.
Right.
In his homeland. And there's a very strong probability astrologically of women carrying on his story.
Oh yeah, well, that's happening on all fronts. And his wife, I hope she just recovers a little bit before she gets out there too much, because it's not healthy. But anyway, I just wondered if the martyrdom, if you can see somebody's kind of being predestined to being like a martyr, because he definitely died a martyr. Well, and also there was something else about him, that unbelievable courage. Like And like, you can't, who's that courageous, right? I mean, I would just think that that would show up in someone's chart, because it's beyond the pale. I mean, you look at like the Republicans in our government right now. It's like they don't even have the beginnings of a backbone.
Well, his North Node was in Scorpio, and that's pretty fearless right there.
Oh, okay.
His
I
path
didn't
of
know.
destiny. And in terms of the martyrdom business, I'll just say meant to be an inspirational figure. And, the
Yeah.
martyrdom might be a role of it, a part of it. And just keep in mind, everybody, more to the story by the end of the year. Lots more to the story by the end of the
Yeah.
year. And
It's
possibly somebody
will be connected.
answering for what happened.
So the way that the loser is, I can't call him by his name anymore. The way that he is behaving right now is so revealing. It's or behaving, or what he's saying and not saying is so revealing.
Oh,
I know
he's comparing himself to.
God, I almost came unglued on that one. I mean, not that I was surprised, but
Mhm.
it was just so despicable. When I say martyr, just don't get me wrong. I don't mean like victim martyr when I'm talking about Navalny. I'm talking about like a saint.
Oh, yeah, well, there's a bit of that.
Yeah, like this, doing it for like, for lack of a better example, I can just point to like Jesus Christ and the crucifixion, right? To
Well,
show us
except his was for political
kind of a
purposes. I think definitely a political, philosophical, there's that's kind of the driving force.
with a long lasting legacy. It's like
Mhm.
his legacy will not end. It won't die. I have seen repeatedly, even we're going on 2 years of this Russian attack on Ukraine. From the beginning, I've seen the people revolt. I thought it was going to be a military coup with the people of Russia. I thought it was Prigozhin might have been it, because I just can't shake this feeling that the people are going to revolt. But right now, when you see them revolt, they're even arresting them if they're just paying tribute to Navalny. I mean, it's awful what you're seeing on the news.
If it makes you okay, here's take heart.
It's hard.
The country will undergo a complete transformation
Yeah, I see that.
after next year.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Pluto is going to move across Saturn in the Russian Federation chart.
Do you think he'll die? Do you think Putin will die?
Oh, I'll be surprised if he's still here by the end of the year, to be quite honest.
Plus,
But
you look at the chart and I see doubles. I see that it's not always him.
well, what I'm looking at right now is the aftermath. I mean, it's not going to suddenly transform into a
Right.
different country, but by the time Pluto hits the Saturn, like daily life will be drastically different. And I just want to throw in here that my nephew's wife is from Russia, and she's protested in the streets against Putin. So, and her whole family has left. They've all moved to another
So they
country.
protested and then they left.
Well, they left after the Ukraine war started.
Oh, right. Yeah. It's horrible. So as far as I mean, I'm always saying that Putin has a lot of doubles, so it's probably more accurate to look at the Russia's chart. That's what I think.
Well, anyway, it's going to be about a year and a half, 2 years, and then we'll see it being wildly, radically different. Now, the Russian Federation and the United States have a very rocky interaction.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you about next.
Astrologically, hang on.
So the relationship between Russia and the United States. Well, what's happening is the Kremlin has infiltrated the United States. I've always said that it's like the wars will be different now. There'll be cyber wars, and that's been going on the past several years. And this is how maybe you can confirm this or not. with the charts, I really feel like energetically, Russia is in the United States working through people in our Congress. And maybe that's not like a big revelation, but it really is. It's a direct connect.
Oh,
And right now, we've talked about MAGA Mike. Right now, I feel that little guy so like way out of his element. It's
well,
just too good.
okay. So the interaction of the Russian Federation's chart and the U.S. chart indicate subterfuge, and I mean, it's got a marker for backroom communication and exactly what we've been seeing, you know.
Yeah, it's really heavy duty. It's pretty. I'm a little concerned. I'll just be honest. I'm a little concerned because of how heavy it feels in terms of how entrenched they are. Did you see that woman? The little clip of the woman that was at a Trump rally, who was going, "I love Putin. I love Putin. I love Putin. I love Putin." It was like, you want to marry him or what? Did you see that?
No, I can't watch this stuff.
It was just freaking. Well, I didn't watch it. I just saw it on a clip.
Yeah.
Touch.
I want to throw in that there's also something in the interaction of Russia's chart and the Declaration of Independence chart that indicates disinformation and pumping up lies and playing on the white nationalism that's in here.
Yeah, and it's so interesting to me because now that things are getting more magnified, it's just clear. I'll just save this for PNN, but it's just so clear. They, like, Fox is working for Putin. Is it just me? I mean, is this common knowledge now? It's like, sometimes I have to ask myself, is it just me that's thinking this, or does everybody know this? What do you think?
There's stuff that just does not make sense. I mean, I don't know if you've ever had the misfortune to stumble on to Newsmax, which my cable channel. No, it has an energy to it that is very destabilizing, and it speaks to root chakra and second chakra and solar plexus fear, and it just stirs it.
I can't. I mean, the only clips I've seen of Newsmax are, like I said, on my Touch or different channels, YouTube channels that I check in with on the politics. It's the only time I've seen that. But I know what you mean. In fact, there's something going on. There's a meeting going on. I flipped on it quickly, so I don't know exactly what it was, but it was I think it must have been in Munich, if that's still going on.
I don't know, but it was in Munich. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there was a woman that from the United States that was speaking about what's going on in the Middle East. Like I said, I was only half paying attention. And then a representative from the Russian Federation started to speak, and I was just like, it wasn't that he was speaking Russian and I had to listen to the translator. It was just like, I can't. I just can't. I kind of was curious, but there's a certain quality of energy. This is why I think it's really helpful for people to develop your intuition, develop your sense.
Okay.
If you're not sensitive to, that's totally they're snowing you. You know, that's all lies. That is a slew of lies, just one after another and after another. I'm surprised that people can not feel that, because, like you're saying, they appeal to the root chakra that goes to those base chakras that are connected to fear and tribal energy. Like, it's amazing that Russia has been able to infiltrate so many people, but it's interesting. It's in the charts.
Yeah.
So that's been happening. And do you see astrologically, do you call it a composite when you are looking at the two charts together?
No, that's you can make a chart that's the midpoints, that's the middle ground of all, and that's a composite. When you create a chart of the actual Union. I have not done that for the two countries. I have one country's chart with the other country around it. That's called synastry.
Oh, okay. So you're looking at the synastry of our two countries.
Mm-hmm.
And back in when Ronald Reagan was in office and he said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall, there must have been some configuration that was less tense than what we're in now.
Well, but that was a different chart because it was still the
okay.
Soviet Union.
Oh, interesting. So you're that makes sense because now you're looking at the Russian Federation, which started when?
1991.
Okay. Boy, lots changed since then. Now, when you look at Putin, do you think that from what you've seen that by the end of the year he may be overthrown, or just like, do you see any hints of or knocked off?
I have several times mentioned an eclipse in April that is going to reset his authority.
There's a lot that's going to happen on that eclipse in April.
Tons.
Including loser, right? You've said a lot about the loser's chart. And
that's a big one right there. That is a huge, huge one. And also in April, I have mentioned, for those of you who've been hanging around here for a while, that Jupiter and Uranus, huge expansion plus sudden change, are going to have, what's the word of the day? A conjunction. They're going to meet in Taurus, and it's going to be right on top of Putin's Jupiter.
Later in April?
And like on the 20th. Yeah. So he's getting a double whammy, and there'll be something here about open enemies or alliances or partners. Something's going to blow open. I predict Russia.
Coming out. On the 25th of March, the loser has a trial date, right?
On the exact lunar eclipse that is on his Neptune, planet of illusion, in his second house of money.
What does that mean?
It means a chapter is ending in what he has said about, and it's illusion. It's also lies. It's the business deals. It's the catch and release stuff that was going on with the National Enquirer. So lunar eclipses bring massive revelations, and they boot things out, and they end chapters. They bring chapters to a close. So something's coming to an end, and we will learn stuff. Yes, there's still much left to be learned.
Volumes and volumes, and they're going to unpack this throughout the rest of history. Back in October, remember October 28th, there was that lunar eclipse?
Yes.
And we had talked about that. We had talked about the month of October of 2023 at length about how that was really going to shake some things up for him. Mm-hmm. So is this like even more?
It's more of the story, yeah. And this time, these eclipses are exactly on planets in his house of resources and money.
Oh, okay.
Exactly on. So conjunction is the word of the day. Conjunction
I like
function.
it. We're learning. It's like astrology 101. Nikki Haley said today she's going to stay in the race. I thought that was interesting. I expected that. Did you have any opinion about that?
Well, all I remember from looking at her chart, I don't have it up in front of me, but what I remember is she is still a factor in the fall in a big way. She's not going under a rock. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think so. It seemed like she's hanging in there because she doesn't know if she might have a shot, because he's seeming really he's extremely unstable and a threat to our, peace. Put it that way.
I mean, why isn't anybody loudly saying that a presidential candidate without much debt is a huge threat to our national security? Because where is the money going to come from to post the appeal bonds? I wonder.
And I heard from a couple of sources being asked. One was Mary Trump at a Q&A I attended on Zoom. was, can he get money from our foreign enemies? And she said, unfortunately, yes. And then I heard that again today. And then I'm thinking about, don't they have like a monitor that's overseeing the money?
Trump organization.
Yeah.
But his personal money, good Lord, who knows? Who knows what he still has that somebody might be interested in paying a lot of money for?
Because he has that. He has that. We know he has that. We know he has our national security secrets, right? We know that whoever could go into Mar-a-Lago, I can't even believe this has happened. I mean, we just trust everybody. It's a little unnerving. But where you're looking at, you have the United States chart there. You can be frank. Do you see anything that we need to be looking out for? And visualizing a better outcome for? Because we do that on Tuesday nights at Grassroots of Democracy. Nothing jumped out.
In the next 6 weeks, it would be very helpful to visualize the courts and wise leadership coming at the disruptive elements and dealing with them.
The disruptive elements, like the death threats and like that kind of,
or there are provocateurs running around. There are people who just are causing trouble because they can. I saw a long time judge saying that she's never heard such a prevalence of absolutely ridiculous and wrong statements of reality, the law, the facts, whatever, widespread. So
it's crazy.
I always find it useful historically. Maybe we can do this in your Tuesday night group, or people can just look at it.
That would be tonight.
For people to really unmistakably reveal their true colors. And what I'm thinking of is this. Years ago, when I was still living in Houston, in fact, early on, I was in a kind of transitional neighborhood called Montrose. It was kind of cool, kind of risky, and there was a rapist making the rounds. So a bunch of us women got together and we bound the rapist. What we did was
you mean energetically.
We appealed to his soul. We appealed to his soul to trip himself up so he would be caught. And he would stop. That's what I think could be very useful.
That's what we do.
Here.
We would bind them. My favorite one right now is to put them under a dome of glass, and with the loser, it's really funny because he doesn't smell good.
Well, I would add to that, putting themselves in situations where they are caught.
I like that too. Okay, we'll intend that they are
to their higher selves. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
On that note, I just want to mention that there are a couple of groups. I attended one. It was just quiet. I'll find out what the name of it was. It might have been Victory 2024, where they just have on Zoom. You can just show up and you can pray for 15 minutes. So these things are popping up. Not just tonight's meditation that we do every single Tuesday, but this, I think, and you might see that in the astrology for America or the world, is that we're in a time that we have to be really aware that how we think about things has an impact on the energy level. And that's not woo-woo, that's science. So I have to catch myself all the time that when I get like angry and upset and I'm sending out all this vitriol energetically to the loser, to Mike Johnson, just like, because I'm so angry at what they've done to this country. They're taking it apart. I have to just go, I need to just okay, deal with that, and then send out the intention of what I want to see happen. I want MAGA Mike out of there. He's the worst puppet ever. I mean, there's a lot of them, but
did you notice there's a photo of him that was recently taken standing next to Trump, and he's standing under a sign that says exit?
I have it in my phone because I take screenshots of things throughout the day, but I didn't notice the exit sign.
Mike Johnson is standing under a sign that says exit.
Give me the bell. We need a bell on that one. Yes, that's what we want to see. And I do sense that his days are very much numbered as in that position. And I do see massive connections to Russia with Maga Mike. That's my psychic impression. We've looked at his chart before.
Yeah, I haven't put his chart with Russia's, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't surprise me.
Who else did I ask you to look at today?
That's all you asked me to look at. I've got Fani Willis's chart up if you want to hear.
That's okay. You had mentioned that. I knew there was.
Yeah. Okay. Hang on.
Yeah. How about that horribleness last week? Speaking of things that make you feel icky.
Okay. Well.
That
All right.
was
We have mentioned Pluto being at the beginning of Aquarius. All right. Pluto is for the next. So Pluto is in an easy flow with her Pluto. So there was something here about communication that ultimately will really empower her.
Yeah.
And she stepped up to it.
She really did. You told us about that about her. She's a Scorpio, right?
She's got a pile up in Scorpio. And so Pluto is making two very tight aspects, actually three very tight aspects to her chart. There's this easy flow to her own Pluto and her ability to stand up in a group and say, don't do this. It's also in an opportunity aspect to her Neptune. So she has become an inspirational figure and an icon. And there's the potential here for, being the sacrificial lamb, blah, blah. But
I don't see that.
I don't either. And Pluto is squaring, which is don't get comfy, her natal sun. It's squaring her sun. So this is pushing her out, making her be even stronger, stronger, stronger. Her moon is in Aquarius. We don't know the degree because we don't have a time of birth, but Pluto is very close to her moon. So there's something here that has just, it's empowered her, but it's also unleashed something that's not going back.
Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Well, there's a certain type of woman that you just do not F with. And I'll be stunned if she is not reelected. And if she isn't reelected in the fall, what she's going to go on to is so much bigger and more important. This woman is just walking power.
Yeah, she's not the only one. But she really showed her power last week. I as gross as it was to watch the overt racism and misogyny, was just like, what were we in the 1940s in the South? Or before. It was gross. Mm-hmm. It was just those lawyers. See, that's another opportunity I had to go, I'm not going to send vitriol. I'm just going to calm down with the lawyers that were prosecuting her. And I love that mic drop moment when she was like, I'm not the one on trial. That was beautiful. Right. I see lots of memes. I see lots of GIFs, of that.
Yep. And a man is not a plan. Yep. Nope.
Man. I love this. Women aren't taking it anymore. Just wait till this election. Don't be scared about this election coming up.
Do not.
In November, because the women's rights being taken away. I mean, there's not anyone that's going to stay home. I really feel that. And we talked about how some people are saying, well, the astrology is terrible and it's going to be awful. It's going to be a show.
No, it won't.
And we don't see that. We do have concerns about election interference, especially at the state level right now. The Republicans, if you can call them that, don't want us to be able to have the power to vote. They want to throw out our votes. And
kind of inconvenient.
Yeah, so to make it as inconvenient as possible, and mostly to do it in such a way that they think nobody's noticing. But we're starting to notice. We really are.
And just remember, people, someone who's been a major pusher of this kind of nonsense is finally going to trial in, when is it? April.
Soon.
That would be Ken Paxton, who's been under indictment for something like
Oh,
9 years. He's finally
Ken.
going to trial.
Remember him? Oh, he's a devil. He's a devil incarnate. He's definitely demonic, and he hates women. Hates women. Oh, we haven't noticed before we do our commercial time.
Commercial time.
I think Fani will stay on the case. I've always seen that. I mean, when I heard, oh, well, she might be kicked off the case, I never thought that. I don't know why the judge was letting that craziness go on last week. I don't know if you have an opinion being a lawyer.
My opinion is he was making damn sure there's no error that they could appeal on the basis of. Like, we let you say everything. We let you do everything.
Yeah.
There's no grounds for appeal.
It seemed like to make it completely transparent and to just put them on display. This is how heinous they are. I don't know if he was thinking that, but
I hope he sanctions Roman's attorneys for having brought this. It's possible.
I can see that. Maybe not all of them, but I can see maybe one. Yeah, that would be good. Justice in 2024. We see justice more and more. It is happening. I mean, it was a long time coming, but we were all like, we're never going to see any accountability. But this year, it's only February. We have seen it.
No. You people, get your popcorn.
Yes.
You're gonna like March and April. You will. I mean,
put the
it's gonna
ketchup
be
away, put the Heinz away, and take out the popcorn.
it's gonna be you know what, crazy, and your own life could be just, but we're gonna start seeing a lot of stuff.
And you know what? Just on that note, think about maybe 6-7 years ago. No, longer ago than that. Maybe think about 10 years ago. We were just kind of like, oh, you know, we were just living our lives, right? Boy, do we have to do an about face since the loser came on the scene. I have to stay on top of the news all the time. You're staying on top of the news all the time. It's just, there's so much work to be done. I started Grassroots of Democracy. It's just never a dull moment. It's just like all hands on deck. Let's get to work. So, you know, I get better perspective when I think about, well, you know, back 10 years ago, I was just kind of, oh, you know, maybe I'll meet someone, or maybe I'll focus on this, or get more readings. It's totally, it's amped up, you know, so many notches now. So we'd rather be alive and engaged. And, you know, I know that we're better when we are being challenged, and not that we enjoy it, but that's the only way we show what our potential is. That's the only way we know what we can do when we are having to be meeting with resistance, right? You know what I mean?
A friend of mine says, look in the mirror and say, this would have killed a lesser mortal. So,
exactly. That's what we're in. We're having another bell at that one.
But I want to encourage everyone. All right, this weekend and next week, when there is a period of like making sense of stuff and things are going to be a little calmer briefly, please take a break. Please do something rejuvenating for yourself. Please take a nap. Please take some time off.
You need to charge your battery for the next phase, right? We're going to be okay, everyone. We really are. We
are okay, everyone. You know, we really are.
But as far as, you know, being afraid of the election and all that, we are going to be okay. Nope. And the reason why is because we're doing this kind of thing, right? We're coming together. And when you look at how many people in America have come together because of this crazy, insane, you know, challenge stuff, we're gonna be good. Just hang with us. Hang with me and Kathy and Terry behind the scenes. So Grassroots of Democracy, I think it's commercial time. Did you want to say something?
I was just gonna say thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Terry.
Here I am. All right. This is my website, empowermentunlimited.net. I have a forecast for every month, every new and full moon, every week. My description of my services are there. I've got lots of guided visualizations that go through the outer planet transits. I've got a talk on Saturn and Pisces. I've got one on working with Uranus, working with Pluto, the Aries Libra eclipses that we're in. Next slide, please. And this is, thank you. This is my YouTube channel. Wow, this is great. This is my YouTube channel, Professional Aquarian. And then I have a Patreon. where
Okay.
people get to ask me questions, and I have all kinds of extra stuff. And that's actually my backyard.
Oh, nice. Oh, you're
I'm
spoiled
serious.
like me. You're
This is my
spoiled like
backyard. Yeah.
me. That's great. I love the dress.
My dragon dress.
Yeah, beautiful purple dress there. This is me. Now we switch to me. Book a reading, people. My schedule is wide open. It's crazy. I've been doing readings for over 30 years, like Kathy has, and if you need guidance, just get a tarot reading. If you want a shorter reading, I offer tea leaf readings. Psychic@dion.com, and I'm a spiritual life coach. If you're having struggles, we can work through them and get you to the other side of all the goodness that's awaiting you. My YouTube channel, when you join this weekend on Saturday night, we're having a psychic party for the top 2 levels. So please join. It's just a low price monthly. It's a subscription, just like a magazine in the old days. And you get an affirmation in your inbox every day. And who doesn't need that? And now we have Church of Spirituality next. Oh, Grassroots of Democracy. We have a book club now. Next meeting is March 16th. And 1 p.m. every Sunday is my Church of Spirituality. And you can watch that at any time. And Grassroots of Democracy Thursdays, Saturdays, and we have the Tuesday night guided meditation for Healed America, which is working, by the way. I just want to say, testimonial, it's working. Boy, I'm doing a lot. I should be rolling in the dough soon enough. Okay, so thank you. It was a wealth of information. I love to go back and listen again and just take notes and see anything that I missed, because you're a wealth, you're a library, just like what's behind you there.
That's only part of my library.
I understand that. And they can reach you for a reading. And are you doing a lot of readings?
I've done more readings this year than I think I ever
Then you
have.
want to? Oh, good, you're good. Yay! So get in touch with Kathy. Also, I'm on Substack now. It's Grassroots of Democracy Group. Please subscribe to my newsletters on Substack, even if you already get them through Grassroots of Democracy, to get those numbers up. That's a recent thing. So check it out. That's everything. All right. Thank you. We'll see you soon. Namaste.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.